In the 17th century, Japan entered the Edo period, a time of peace heralded by the unification under Tokugawa Ieyasu after a period of warring states. It might seem at first glance that with the major conflicts ceased, the townsfolk lived their lives in tranquility. However, the reality was quite different. They lived in fear of something on a daily basis. That fear was rooted in Tsujigiri. During the Edo period, it was a common occurrence for townspeople walking in less populated areas at night to suddenly be attacked by someone wielding a sword. This constant threat instilled fear in them daily. But who were the perpetrators of these Tsujigiri? Astonishingly, they were samurai. In this chapter, we will explore a seldom discussed, darker aspect of the samurai, known for their moral code and loyalty, the practice of Tsujigiri. In the early Edo period, the atmosphere filled with the violent ethos of the warring states period still pervaded, and public order was disturbed. One of the causes of this disturbance was the criminal acts of Tsujigiri carried out by some samurai. With the cessation of major battles in Japan, samurai no longer had roles to play in warfare, and those who could not adapt to the new era began to commit crimes. Additionally, at that time, there was still a clear distinction in status between samurai and townspeople, with the townspeople having a lower status. Tsujigiri was primarily conducted at night. Samurai would suddenly appear in desolate areas during the night and slash at passing townspeople. This act was rampant in Edo, the then center city of Japan, disrupting the peace. Tsujigiri was mainly attributed to the actions of young samurai of the rank of Hatamoto. Some young samurai with hot blood and a certain status would go to less populated places at night to commit Tsujigiri. It was not uncommon at that time for corpses cut down by Tsujigiri to be found in front of samurai residences. There is a symbolic story from that time about Tsujigiri. It revolves around the famed swordsman Yoshioka Kempo, known for having fought with Miyamoto Musashi. Once, a young samurai was conducting Tsujigiri at night, calling it a test cut of his sword. On a dark night, an old man happened by. Thinking he had found an easy target, the young samurai stealthily approached the old man and swung at him, but the old man dodged at the last moment. The old man, while saying, "Wait, wait," took off his sandals and provocatively gestured, "Come on," to the young samurai. Despite the young samurai's repeated swings, not only did he fail to hit, but he also got struck with the old man's hand fan. Exhausted, the young samurai collapsed, while the old man walked away briskly. As the old man was leaving, the young samurai asked, "Old man, what is your name?" To which he replied, "Kempo." Why did samurai commit Tsujigiri? There were several reasons. One was to test the sharpness of their swords. As seen in the practice of tameshigiri, test cutting that has existed in Japan for centuries, it was common to use human bodies to test the sharpness of swords. Although ethically problematic, using human bodies for test cutting was considered rational by the samurai, since swords were meant to cut through flesh in practice. Other reasons included venting frustration, robbing money or valuables, and testing one's martial skills. These reasons were all selfish, and there were samurai who committed Tsujigiri as a means to make a living. Due to the frequent occurrences of Tsujigiri, in 1602, the Tokugawa shogunate, the ruling government at the time, prohibited Tsujigiri, enacting severe penalties for those caught, including execution after being paraded through the streets. This parade, known as hikimawashi, involved the condemned being immobilized, placed on a horse, and publicly led to the execution site with a sign stating their crime, thereby demonstrating the consequences to the public and deterring similar crimes. This measure reduced the occurrences of Tsujigiri. Furthermore, in 1682, the Tokugawa shogunate issued the Edict on Compassion for Living Things. Intended to encourage respect for life, it was issued several times, prohibiting the killing of living beings, including cattle, horses, dogs, and birds. It eventually became more extreme, prohibiting the killing of fish, insects, and reptiles. It also imposed restrictions on falconry and hunting, which were popular among lords and warriors. Although criticized as a harsh law, it significantly reduced the number of Tsujigiri incidents. As culture began to flourish and merchants gained wealth and influence, the power of money became paramount, making it increasingly risky for samurai to recklessly attack townspeople. While Tsujigiri was a clear criminal act, in the Japan of that era, samurai were legally allowed to kill commoners under certain conditions through a system known as Kiri-sute Gomen. This was a privilege exclusively granted to samurai under the laws of the shogunate. So, what distinguished Tsujigiri from Kiri-sute Gomen? Kiri-sute Gomen allowed a samurai to legally kill someone, typically a commoner, if they were subjected to intolerable rudeness or disrespect. This system functioned to clearly delineate the social status between samurai and commoners. What constituted intolerable rudeness could vary from one person to another, but generally included deliberate physical collisions initiated by commoners or acts of obstruction. It is said that some townspeople would intentionally provoke samurai as a test of courage. Kiri-sute Gomen had two aspects. It served as a means for samurai to restore their honor when defamed, and as a form of self-defense against life-threatening attacks. However, Kiri-sute Gomen was rarely exercised in practice due to the risks involved for the samurai. After performing Kiri-sute Gomen, a samurai was required to report the incident to authorities promptly and undergo an investigation. A witness to prove the justification of the act was necessary, and without a valid reason, the samurai could be punished severely. The punishments could include forced seppuku, ritual suicide, family dishonor, and confiscation of property. Thus, the system of Kiri-sute Gomen required a high level of commitment and readiness to face the consequences, underscoring the risk involved even for the samurai who invoked this privilege. The most infamous samurai known for committing Tsujigiri was Hirai Gonpachi. His story, while highlighting the brutality of Tsujigiri, has also been passed down through generations as a tragic love tale and has become a popular subject in kabuki theater. Gonpachi was a samurai born in the early Edo period in Tottori Prefecture. His story begins with him killing a colleague who had insulted his biological father. To escape punishment, he fled to the city of Edo. It was there that Gonpachi met a woman named Komurasaki, a courtesan. Komurasaki known for her skill in waka poetry and her cultured, graceful, and kind demeanor, was regarded as the top oiran courtesan in Edo. Before long, the two found themselves drawn to each other and fell deeply in love. However, Gonpachi, being a mere retainer, lacked the funds to visit the pleasure quarters repeatedly. Moreover, meeting Komurasaki, who was the highest-ranking courtesan, required a substantial amount of money each time. As his funds dwindled, Gonpachi found himself unable to see Komurasaki. Driven to desperation, he resorted to a terrifying solution. In need of money to meet her, Gonpachi started to commit crimes, killing people to steal their valuables. His relentless pursuit to be with her led him to kill as many as 130 people. Eventually, his repeated offenses led to his capture and execution. Upon hearing of his death, Komurasaki was shocked and mourned deeply. Later, a powerful patron proposed to buy her freedom, a normally joyous opportunity for a courtesan who was not allowed to leave the pleasure quarters. However, for Komurasaki, who could not be with Gonpachi and had not recovered from his death, this offer was nothing but agony. It is said that Komurasaki, the top courtesan of Edo, committed suicide at Gonpachi's grave in Toshoji Temple on the day she was to be bought out. Subsequently, a memorial mound for them was constructed at the temple. Today, it has been relocated and exists in front of a temple in Meguro, Tokyo. We hope you enjoyed this exploration into the world of Japanese swords. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting content about the history of Japanese swords. Until next time, sayonara.